And welcome to Witch Chat Chats. And come on in and sit down for a spell. We're sponsored by Evermoving We Rise and Moonlight Potions and Charms. I am your amazing goddess host, Miss Nikki Kirby, and we are joined by our fabulous co-host, Mr. Saul Ravencraft. How are you doing, Saul?
I am fantastic, Nikki. How are you today?
I am wonderful. Ooh, on this spooky October day.
It is. It is. We're just coming to the end of October. Tomorrow is the big day, and it's we start sliding into the end of the year. It's all gonna go quicker and quicker as we go here.
I cannot believe it's almost towards the end of the year already.
It is. It's a good time, though. There's a lot that goes on here, and this is a time of the year where if you are open to it, there's a lot of opportunity to prepare yourself for what comes next, and to begin focusing that power in the direction that it needs to go, and to choose not to get caught up in all the chaos of people at this time of year. You can direct it.
Yep. You also can. But it's also good to be able to just go out and just kind of go and take a little nap, and also take a little step back.
Indeed.
And drink some hot chocolate. Yes.
Indeed.
And
maybe a hot toddy here and there. But that is the point, that it is a choice. You can choose what to do with your energy at this point. And a lot of the world tries to get you to use that energy to consume and to be very busy and a little frantic at this time of year. And you don't have to do that. You have the option to allow yourself to flow into the season. And that's a good thing to do.
It is, because it's getting cooler. It's not quite as hot.
Yes.
It's getting a lot cooler. It's getting down in the 30s here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about where you're at.
Oh, we're all the way down to the 50s. So yeah, we're feeling that change and enjoying that change. Cats are a little confused, but that's all right.
Oh, Lordy. So what's going on down in your area of Texas?
Well, it's I've got tonight I'm doing the last performance at Mama Merlot's. We've decided to move it around a little bit. It's going to be less of the spirit sessions that I've been doing in the other locations, and more of my performance, which includes some spirit messages. Keep it more of a costume party for everybody, because it's that kind of year, that time of year. and very appropriate for that venue. And then on a Halloween night, I'm actually going to be in Marble Falls. I was there on Saturday, and I'm going to be doing readings as part of the Marble Falls Spooktacular Halloween celebration. So I'll have a little pavilion there. I'm sponsored by Lulu's on the square, and so I'm able to give complimentary readings to anybody who wants to partake, which is always nice to be able to do. And I've got some media projects and things like that are coming up afterwards. I am teaming up with someone for an event at Mama Merlot's, where we're going to do a combination of what I do and her mediumship, and see how that resonates with people. And I've got a couple other things that are in the works. Looking to continue the spirit sessions throughout the year on some level, and also to have some more performances available to the public so that people can partake of that. So it's all bubbling around. As you know, it takes a lot of effort to bring something like this from conception to reality, actually getting everything hauled out and doing the thing. There's a lot involved. And a lot of October was taken up with doing the thing. So I'm looking forward to taking a little bit of breath. I'll probably take a whole day to just be stupid. And then back into getting everything moving. So hide and watch. How about you, Nikki?
Well, with Evermoving We Rise, we always have things going on. Like on the 1st, we have our ancestor blessing ritual that I'm looking forward to. It's always a very sweet ritual that we have, where we send messages to the ancestors and just take a day to appreciate what they've done for us and their sacrifices. And then on the 21st of November is when we have our new moon ritual. So I'm looking forward to those as well. And then with Moonlight Potions and Charms, we are having our sale, our Mad Scientist sale that's going through the 31st. And we have 10% off in our Etsy store on a lot of different products. On our candles, we've got those. We've got 10% off on our statues, on a lot of different things. So check that out and see what we got. And we have so many different things in store for you. With Chats, we've expanded to so many different social medias. We're on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to us, follow us, like our pages. We're on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts. We are Witch Hat Chats on the go now. So go to our link tree to find out where we're at. And so much more. And you know what? Saul and I have done our American duty. We have spelled the vote. Haven't we, Saul?
Yes, I'm wearing my sticker and everything. The first day of early voting was yesterday for me, and I was able to get a couple of things done. There was a little bit of a line, which was nice to see, and the process is very straightforward. One of the things I like about the machines that Williamson County uses is when you go to vote, they give you this slip of paper, and it puts information about you at the top. You slide that into the machine, and when you are done with your vote, it prints on that. And it's got the barcode information, the machine readable information that is used by the intaking computer, but it also has human readable information on there. So as you are moving from the machine to the other machine, you can double check that everything on there is accurate. And so you get just one more check to make sure, okay, yeah, that's everything I said. And I like that. I like that one extra little step there. I think that's I don't know why not all voting machines do that. But I guess there's all kinds of things in play with that sort of stuff. But I was excited to see everybody. Everything went very smoothly. There was no chaos. Everyone seemed to know what they were doing. Once I got through the line, the voting process was very straightforward. There were no crazy people outside causing any difficulty. It was all very grown up. So that's nice to see. Good experience.
Yeah, and I mailed my vote in, so it was very easy for me. I just called to my local elector to the North Carolina voting place and told them that we wanted to mail our votes in. We got our little thing and we just did our votes, and we had to have 2 witnesses this year instead of 1, and we just mailed it in, and it was just very easy. So it's no problem for us.
Right. And, obviously I want to see some changes happen, and that is the way that I cast my vote. I know that not everybody agrees with me, but everybody should vote. Everybody should exercise it. If it is true that most people want to see things go a certain way, then we're going to have to find a way to work with that. And if it's not true, then all that stuff needs to get adjusted. But I want I want the real voices out there. Let's find out what we're really dealing with, and not just who the loudest voices are. But do it, and remember, it's not just about casting the vote. I mean, if you've got to do things like Nikki did, she had to go through a process to get her mail ballot worked out. Get that done. If you need to make arrangements with work or decide an early polling place and figure out how to get there, get that done. If you need a ride, get that done. If you can help someone else by giving them a ride or making it easier for them to do this, helping to watch kids or carpool or whatever, do that, right? If you talk to anyone that goes, oh, I want to vote, but no buts, right? Figure out what the problem is and help each other solve it.
Right.
Because we have to exercise our vote to exorcise the problems.
Right, because you know what? You can't complain if you don't vote. If you don't vote, you can't complain. That was the way that I was always brought up. And I was brought up that the only way that we can make change is by voting. So if you want to make the change, you go and you make the vote.
Right. And no matter how the vote comes out, if it comes out the way you want it to, be gracious, right? This is not your carte blanche to bully everybody. If the vote does not come out the way that you want, be gracious and figure out how you are going to hold feet to the fire and to continue to work with what we've got to get things done. Because there are still always ways to accomplish what we need to for ourselves and for those that we care for and in our society. We are not just sitting around waiting for our masters to allow us to do things, right? Those guys in Washington, those guys in the state capitals, they still work for us, and we honestly, if we truly try, have a lot more ability to make things happen than they do. But you got to get your hands dirty. You got to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Being in the witchy world is not idle. You don't get to sit back and wait for things to happen.
All right. All right. So do you want to know what our divination reading is for today?
Always.
All right. For those of you who know, I usually read from a tea thing from Yogi's Positive Energy Tea. And today's is Our Thoughts Are Forming the World. Ooh. So, Mr. Saul, what does that come to your mind?
Well, thoughts become things. You have to form the vision in order to manifest. I mean, it's sort of the whole basis for everything that we talk about and everything that we work with in this program. If you can't hold the vision in your head, you can never bring it to be.
Yep. That's very true.
Sort of the definition of magic, isn't it?
Pretty much. Our thoughts become our reality. That's what they are. It's just like with an idea. An idea has to start with a thought, and then you have to bring that thought to life. So you have to keep bringing one idea, one thought, and add another thought, and another thought, and another thought to it in order to be able to manifest it. So yeah, you have to constantly be nurturing it.
Right.
To make sure you bring that thing to life.
And be aware of some of those other thoughts as well, because we can bring that negativity to life as well. But you can't feel guilty when you have negative thoughts. Gosh, what a terrible trap that is. Oop, I had a negative thought. I shouldn't have negative thoughts. I'm so bad about I'm having more negative thoughts. You got to be forgiving. It's I think of the temperance card when I think about this kind of thing, and that idea of balance. And the balance is never perfectly achieved forever. You may get it perfectly in balance in the moment, but something shifts around. And so it's something where you gotta move the pieces around. If you've ever seen a server with a big giant tray and watch how they're able to remove something and slide things around and keep that thing upright. It's fascinating to watch someone who does that well. First, I'd just like someone else to carry the tray and put it on a little tray jack because I think I would just be a mess with all of that. But there's a lot of adjustments, and when something gets a little out of balance, even if you put it out of balance, then you just make some adjustments. One of the things that I try to do when I'm aware of inserting negativity into something is to use modifiers, to put modifiers in there as I remember to go to balance it out. I'm not very good at that yet. Right? I remind myself that I'm growing and I can get better, and I can be good at that at some point, even though I'm struggling right now. It's okay to acknowledge that you're struggling, just as long as you see a path out of the struggle. Sometimes I'll think something deeply negative, And I'll have to remind myself that I don't know that. That's just conjecture. I don't have any proof of that. And to acknowledge the type of thought there. It's hard. It takes practice. I'm still struggling constantly because I'm a problem solver. That's my nature. I'm a problem solver. And you can get a very cynical view of things when you see things as problems and, okay, well, what's wrong with that? How do we fix that? And so for me, the trip down the rabbit hole has been a very interesting shift in my thinking to not see everything as problems and not look for brokenness in things. It's a very fine line, but it takes practice, and I'm getting better.
Oh yeah. It does take practice to look at things with a opportunity view. And with that, we shall return in a few minutes after these wonderful messages from our sponsors. Have you wondered what spirituality is? Spirituality is limitless, as it does not contain any boundaries on beliefs or practices. Spirituality's most important component is personal experience and allows one to explore it freely. Evermoving We Rise is a spiritual moving tradition, as our name is our lifestyle, because we are persistently rising and moving forward. We realize that everyone's spiritual journey is extremely personal, but more easily traveled with reinforcement. We'll teach you to become friends with your shadow, emerge your authentic self, and give you time and space to develop your own spirituality. And when situations bump back, you'll have the entire community behind you, as we are a magical family who work to sustain each other. Discover the benefits of working within a society dedicated to helping you grow on your personal path. Visit us on our website, Linktree, or Facebook page and discover why we don't fit in the box. Behind the door, and ye shall find the return of the Barebone Trio. See no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil, skeletons. This Barebone Trio reminds us not to take life too seriously and shows us the sense of humor we all have. Each one crafted with specific detail and are great for the Day of the Dead, your ancestor altar, Halloween, Samhain, Hecate, and the possibilities are limitless. And there is so much more in our wicked store to help you to embrace the power of your own magic. So come on in to Moonlight Potions and Charms at www.moonlightpotionscharms.com and discover the wicked things that ignite the magical passion in you.
At Witch Hat Chats, we promote magical knowledge, arts, and music from all cultures. We invite you to join us as our guest to share your practice, especially if your traditions are lesser known. Email us at witchhatchats@gmail.com. Tune in every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our Facebook page.
And welcome back to Witch Hat Chats. I am Saul Ravencraft. I am here with the amazing Nikki Kirby. And we are, we're in that transition phase. It's so weird moving from October to November. moving from the harvest into the winter. Uh, it's a weird time. It's a powerful time, but my goodness gracious, it affects one quite a bit. I was joking about the cats being confused with the changes in the weather and the changes in the pacing, but I'm not immune to it either. It's weird for me. Do you find that you glide easily into the next season, or is this part of the year challenging for you as well?
Well, sometimes it depends. Right now it's kind of, a little bit, ups and downs sometimes. Right. We're fixing to go into that time change again,
yes.
Which I wish they would stop that. God,
seems kind of pointless now.
They can stop that. And the only reason why they're trying to keep that now, they claim it was for the farmers. Well, I'm sorry, that's a crock of crap, because farmers know when to get up. It doesn't matter whether it's dark or light, they know when the hell to get up. Right. I know. I grew up on a farm. Okay. My uncle was a farmer growing up. He knew when the hell to get up. Okay. He didn't have to have a clock to get up. He knew when to get up.
Right.
They want to keep it now. According to South Carolina, and this was last year, they wanted to keep it because of golf. That's the reason why they wanted to keep it, because of golf. I have no idea why. I'm not a golf person. I don't care about golf. Okay. I think golf is dumb. All right. But I think it's boring. That's me. All right. But I wish they really would just go ahead and just stop it. It's not necessary. It's useless now. But anyway, that's what they do. And that really just messes everybody up, because you have to go forward in the spring, and then you go back in the winter, and but during this time of the year is usually when they celebrate the ancestors, is when we usually try to do that most of the time, especially around the first through the second, the first part of the week of November, in a lot of different cultures and spiritual belief systems. And I think that's really, really beautiful when they do that. It used to be that many cultures would actually have picnics, and they would go out into their graveyards and actually have a picnic in front of their graves, and sit there and actually talk to their relatives that have passed on. Sit there and have a picnic and have a really nice time. It used to be that way, and now people think that's weird. I'm like, no, it's a way of honoring them. It's so strange when you're talking to somebody and they're like, why are you honoring your ancestors? Why are you, putting this drink out for them and stuff like that? It's waste of food, it's waste of drink. And it's like, no, it's not. It's just remembering them. It's a way of honoring them for their sacrifices that they have done. And they also, in many ways, help you in this lifetime.
Sure.
As well. But people think that I just love it when I go into somebody's house and they say, well, we don't have an ancestor altar, but yet they've got their grandma and their papa and all that other stuff, up on the mantle, and they all passed away. I said, is these people living? No, they died, years ago. I said, right there's your altar,
Right.
or they're up on the wall or something. I'm like, right there's your altar. Why do you keep those up?
Well, and that just demonstrates that it's not such a weird thing. I think people, when you talk about altar, they think of some big flat stone with drippy candles and remnants of sacrifice and all of that. Or they think of a very ornate altar like you would find in a church. But it is just remembrance. And I enjoy that there are cultures like the Mexican culture has the Dia de los Muertos, which is basically in process. It's not just a single day. There are people doing parts of that celebration today. And there is that embracing of who these people were. There's a visitation of the grave. People will have their favorite foods and drinks and music and just whatever they can do to bring that person to life. And it's a wonderful thing to do that. It's an important thing to do that. We really outsource death in our culture. We don't deal with the remains. Someone else handles that. We fill out a form for how the service is going to be, and that gets handled. It's catered. There's a lot of things that go into that that people outsource. Not everybody. There are people that will still band together and help each other and do that. But it's just very momentary. And the idea of looking at this point, and we can feel it, right? Those of us that open ourselves to these connections, we can feel when that veil is getting thin. Mm-hmm. It's not a metaphor, right? It gets weird during this time of year. It gets ethereal. There's and I think part of it is that during the spring and the summer and such, we're working pretty hard. We've got a lot on our plate. We've got a lot of distraction going on. And so it's easy to not listen. But as things start to slow down, and we start moving toward that end of the year, we don't have as much distraction. Mm-hmm. And we can listen. I think that one can make as good an effort at connecting with your ancestors in June as you can in October. But in October, perhaps you're just a little bit better situated for it. You're more mentally prepared. You're more in an open mode. But it is open to everybody. Do you do anything differently at this time of year when it comes to ancestors and spirit connection?
Well, the only thing that I really do that's differently is the ancestor blessing ritual, which we all get together and we sit down and we call our ancestors down and we talk about them and bring them to life, as you would say. For example, we pick an ancestor and we talk about what that ancestor did. And sometimes we try to either For example, one of my ancestors was, and this was happening a long time ago, was gay, and he was murdered. He was murdered by some police officers in a jail one long time ago. And we had a ritual for that, and we discussed that in open ritual. And we went and we healed that. We healed him. And that was something that needed to be healed at that time. And it did a lot of good for him. It did a lot of good for me. And it was something that needed to be said, because it's when we just talk about ancestors, we don't just talk about the good, the good times and sweet things and stuff about that. We really need to discuss the hardships as well. We need to be able to discuss what were some of the tragedies and how can we help heal them, because while as we healed them, we also heal us as well. We heal the patterns within our lines, our ancestor lines, and then we end up healing us as well. And it becomes so fascinating how that ends up, how we end up seeing that in our other how we end up seeing that in our other line, in our other family lines, as you can see, so when it comes to going with the ancestors and everything, I always tell people, you may not want to deal with these people, but you really need to know where you came from. You really need to know where you came from, because that tells you what your foundation is.
Right.
And when you know what your foundation is, you know where you started from. And that's really important.
It is. It is.
It really is. It's, it makes it's like it clicks. It's so clear. Oh, this is where I get this from. Oh yeah. And because you don't sit there and try to figure out, how can I be able to do blah, 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 blah? I don't know. But now I know why I can do blah, 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 because this, and you can be able to start mastering it a little bit quicker.
Well, and when you talk about calling down the ancestors, I think some people think that what they're going to experience is all their glowy ancestors around the circle like Yoda and Ben Kenobi. And I mean, I'm not saying that people never experience that, but I haven't experienced that. That in many ways, all of this is very internal, the actual experience, and the shared memory of an ancestor. If you've ever been, my wife is very close to her sisters, and her parents have passed on. She still likes to get with her sisters, but I remember when we would go and visit her family when her parents were still alive. We would go and visit, and she was 15 years old all over again. Everybody fell into place in the family dynamic there. And as someone who wasn't there at that time, it could be a little awkward. You were a bit foreign. And one of the things that would happen is they would one of them would start remembering something that the family had done together. And then it would just be everybody chiming in about little details they remember. Oh, you remember that thing? You remember when we were in that place? And oh yeah, they had that stuff. And on the sidelines, you were just like, what? He had nothing to add. And so I got to see versions of that. And every once in a while for holiday gatherings, they'll get back into that mode, talking about their parents and talking about aspects of them. My father-in-law made these mixtapes that he had recorded, like reel-to-reel tapes. And he still used the reel-to-reel when we would go and visit. He would play these things. And it's, this mix of stuff out of the 60s and just all this music of an age. And someone in the family has since digitized that. And at some gatherings, they will put on one of those old mixtapes. And you'll see them flow into that. And I think that's really what happens when we open ourselves to recalling these people. Is it's not so much trying to materialize them as much as it is to not lose all the aspects of that age, and to remember the qualities that we miss, that we need, the conversations we don't get to have. You actually do have those conversations and you bring them up.
It's the knowledge and the wisdom that you don't want to miss out on. Is what it is. When we're talking about the ancestors, we're only talking about 9 steps back, if you can go that far. Most people can't really even go that far. And the reason why we just go back that far is because basically by the time you go back that far, after 9, that's when most people have already, what do they call it?
Which when you find out you're related to Kevin Bacon, right?
Reincarnate, yeah.
Right.
Reincarnate most of the time, by the time you go 9 back. But see, it's not like I want to call down my ancestors and they're all going to come down, they're all going to be nice and glowy. No. No, it's not going to be quite that easy. It's not going to be quite that simple. With me, I started with one simple one. You can start with one that you know. And if you're adopted, I'm sure, to me, if you're adopted, that adopted family is part of your family. That is the way I look at it, okay? Because they wanted you, and that is a part of your family, period. End of story. So I would start with that one adopted person. You can always go to let's see, what is it? Ancestry.com to try to figure out your family. There is a book called Ancestry Tarot that gives you a lot of good information on how to be able to find your ancestors. It's a very good book. I've read the book. It's a good book. Be able to help you with that. But, just start out very, very simple. Don't sit here and think that you're going to have to start out very big and call down your maternal line. Okay? No. Jesus. We're not going to call down the maternal line of no. Whoa. We ain't going to do that shit. No. I can, but I'm not going to do that shit. Oh, no.
We're going to have to pause this conversation for a few minutes while we get some words from our sponsors. But Miss Nikki and I will be right back, and we're going to continue this conversation about connecting with our ancestors and making use of that in this season. You can do it. You will do it. We'll talk about how. We'll be right back.
I'm Saul Ravencraft, co-host of Witch Hat Chats. I understand just how confusing and chaotic it can be to open to a path of magic and manifestation. Everything seems to turn on its head. I want to be an ally as you find the way upon your path. My studio setup will let us do readings, coaching, and exploration virtually, just as though you were sitting across the table from me. One size does not fit all, and we will work together to craft the right approaches to build your practice, your confidence, and your power using the tools of divination, magical works, and spirit connections. It's never too late to embrace a new path and emerge empowered. Go to TexasMojoMan.com and select Contact to begin. There's a message now. Let's get started working on your very good fortune.
And welcome back to Witch Hat Chats. And Mr. Saul and I, we are talking about ancestors and so much more. All right.
So a few weeks ago, we did a show where we were talking about being safe when you go into haunted places. And we talked about grounding and shielding and tools and techniques for going into a place and connecting with whatever is there. And we had some emphasis on protections and limitations and all of that sort of thing. But when you're talking about connecting with ancestors, when you're talking about connecting with more personal spirits and entities, I would imagine that you do that a little differently than you do if you're going to the Winchester Mansion.
Yeah. 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 The thing about it is, well, it depends on the ancestor as well. Because we all have those ancestors where, there are ancestors that have caused some people traumas. All right. Those are the ancestors that you don't want to mess with at first. Okay. Unless you are, are knowledgeable about ancestors and you want to start doing your shadow work. Okay. that is a whole different ball game and a whole different story. But I mean, if you want to start with like a loving grandmother, a loving grandfather, a loving uncle, somebody like that, that's a different story. Somebody who hasn't caused you, death, domain, anything like that. Someone who gives you wonderful memories is a different story. That's a little bit more easier because you won't have to have that. You won't have to have protections up as far as that goes. But if it's more like somebody who, as we were referring to in last week's episode, that you had to piss on their grave, that's a different story.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to talk to somebody, like that, to me, that is very simple. But if it's somebody who just suddenly has passed, I usually kind of make myself wait for a little while, because it takes an ancestor, it takes a person. For example, you need to think about yourself. If you suddenly die, it's going to take you a little bit to adjust to that. Okay? You're not going to suddenly say, hey, cool, I'm dead. Yeah. You're not going to suddenly say that. Okay? You're going to go, oh, shit, I'm dead. It's going to take you a little while to get used to that. Okay? So for them, it's going to take them probably a while. Most of the time, I say a year before I call upon a recent dead person. I'm more likely to do that. And the reason why I say a year is because the other ancestors are trying to help them get accustomed to what is going on and to the fact that they are dead, because they're not used to being dead. That's something you don't just suddenly get used to. You don't suddenly, it's like driving a car. You don't suddenly get used to not being able to drive your car all of a sudden. And it's something that the other ancestors are trying to teach them. This is something that you have to get used to. You are dead. You can't pick this phone up anymore. You don't need the phone anymore. We're trying to get you to do this. We're trying to get you to cross over. No, you don't need to go and take care of this person anymore. No. It's something that they have to try to get used to. And because us humans don't like change, it's not going to be that easy for us to try and just accept it. Okay. So that's the reason why I try to give them time to accept the fact that, hey, I'm dead, before I start to call upon them. So I give them a little waiting time. Some ancestors are okay to call on, more quickly, but most of the time I give them about a year to do that. But yeah, when it comes upon the good nature ones, you don't really you don't have to have protections when it comes up to them. But I'm not saying don't have anything, because you really, really never know, especially if you're a new person to this. You want to make sure that is your ancestor. That is, grandma or grandpa. That's not some other entity that is claiming to be grandma or grandpa. And that's where you have your other spirits to turn around and check this one out, to make absolutely sure that it is grandma, grandpa, or whatever spirit that you want it to be.
Tell us a little bit more about how that works and your experience with that. And have you ever had a situation where your guardian spirit said, nope, no, we got an imposter here? And what happened?
Well, with me, mine is very protective when it comes to me. And the thing about it is, I tend to see through things. When it comes to an ancestor, number one, I don't trust things when it comes flat off the thing. I guess it's because, number one, being a Scorpio, I don't trust things when it comes to being flat on the roof. As far as things concerned, I mean, you call this a phone, I have to really investigate to see if this is an actual phone or not. Okay, I'm one of those type of people. I have to really look at it to see if it's an actual phone. When it comes to looking at something like that, I have like layers and layers and layers that I have developed over time that these spirits have to actually go through. And for them to actually go through in order to get to me. And if they get through to that point, then they're good if I say that they're good. If they say that they're good and I say that they're good, they're good. But if they don't get through those points, then they're gone. But it's like I said, it's something that you developed over time. You have to, number one, develop your own spirits of protection that are around you. That's the first thing you have to develop. We all have our own spirits that protect us. We have one that is constantly around us all the time. Some people call it a guardian angel. Some people just call it a guardian. Some people just call it whatever. We all have one. Sometimes they're a little slow to the task, but they're all there. We have to be able to become friends with it. We have to know what it is. And we have to learn how to talk to them and how to work with them when it comes to that. It's a system that you have to develop yourself. It's not something that I can tell you how to develop, or anybody can write down and say, hey, this is step by step by step. This is how you develop this. It's something that you two have to work out as a relationship, how to develop. It's just one of those things. That's the way it is. For me, I'm one of those type of people that I ask, what do you think about this one? It tells me what do you think about this one. That one tells me what do you think about this one. You know, that one tells me what you think about this one. Okay, cool. They like it, cool. They don't, gone. No problem.
So what kinds of tools do you recommend for people that are opening to this? I mean, obviously your own intuition and such is good, but someone may be struggling a little bit to trust what they're getting. Are there any sorts of tools that you would recommend that would help people to get used to this and get some of the answers that they need?
Well, I do recommend that, number one, you learn to trust your own intuition. That's the first thing that you need to learn how to trust. Number two, you can use divination tools such as a pendulum. You can also learn how to use the tarot. be able to. And what I mean by the tarot, don't just learn the definitions of them, okay? Don't go online and learn the meanings of them. Look at the artwork of the tarot. Look at what does it mean to you? What does that artwork mean to you, okay? What does that artwork mean to you? What do the symbols in the tarot mean to you? Does that mean yes? Does that mean no? What does that mean to you? Okay. Don't sit there and just say, okay, this means blah, 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 because of the internet says it means this. No, don't do that. Okay. What does it mean to you? Because you are trying to go on your own intuition. Everything is supposed to be within here and within here. This is what you're trying to develop, is these two things right here. Because if you don't trust this and this, then it's no good, period. This is where, these two things is where the magic comes from. So this is where you need to be able to trust. And you need to develop your psychic incense from. So those two things I really, really recommend that you start to develop, and those tools will be able to help you as well. The pendulum is a good thing. If you are into dice, there's a certain number. Think of a certain number. Roll the dice. If it comes up to that certain number, then there you go. There's all kinds of different ways that you can be able to say yes or no. All kinds of different divination ways. Everything like that. But the main thing about it is you need to start trusting your intuition. If you don't trust your intuition, then it's not going to work.
What about the old Ouija board?
You can use a Ouija board, but you have to have protections up because you don't know what's going to come through there unless you have your protections up. And you know that, Saul Ravencraft.
I do.
So, Saul, what are your experiences with the Ouija board?
Well, I mostly have them in my collection, and people look at it and go, ooh, spooky board. But I've only done a session a few times. They've mostly been exhibition sessions. It's not necessarily my preferred tool to use because I find it kind of painstaking, and you really got to have the right conditions and people involved to use it effectively for me. But when we've done exhibitions to show people what that's like, it's always been interesting what has happened. I always cast a circle, and people who are participating are in the circle, and people who are observing are outside the circle. And so you have to choose what you're going to be. Something that Aleister Crowley suggested, which I think is very sound, is when you're working with something like a Ouija board, you don't just open it up to everybody. You decide who and what it is you want to reach, and you call for them. And you don't ask for just anybody to come through. And so you specifically call for who it is that you want to talk to. I put different people on and off the board, and look for people who seem to be getting some responses. There's a scribe off to the side who is making notes of whatever occurs on the board so that we don't have to keep it in our heads and we just stay open. Generally, I end up being the gatekeeper, for those. And the gatekeeper, in the spirit sessions that I do, I have someone who is a sort of a gatekeeper, the person helping me out. So I always try to have somebody helping me out. It's not just to schlep stuff to and from the car. They need to be someone who is involved but not fully participating. So if something weird is going on, if something isn't quite right, then they stop it. We're done. And often when in all of the Ouija sessions I've done, I have been that person. And so I've been the facilitator and the guard, if you will. And so in order to do a proper Ouija session, you really need at least 4 people. A couple on the board, more if you can do. You need someone who's acting as the guardian and someone acting as the scribe. And those positions can switch out, although I think your guardian needs to just stay in place. You don't want to try and go in and out of that mode. But there's a little bit more involved to it. Now, do I say never use the Ouija board alone? Yeah, kinda. Kinda. Although the Ouija board doesn't scare me, because I believe that you can open up yourself to entities just as easily with tarot cards and pendulums and any other tool if you use it in a way that just exposes yourself. Mm-hmm. You should always be just like in real life. You should in physical life, you should be in control of who touches you. It's the same in spiritual connection. You should always have boundaries with what you're going to connect with, and you should always have awareness and not let yourself get into a mode where you expose yourself too much. It's just common sense. You don't want to have a horror movie based on you. You don't want to be one of those based on a true story things.
Oh, really?
It's great for me if there's a horror movie based on you, because I get to watch it, but kind of sucks for you.
All right, and we will be right back with the Witch's Cabinet after these great messages from our wonderful sponsors. The Witching Hour is here, and new magical products arrive at Moonlight Potions and Charms. And what appears during the magical hour? Our mysterious triple goddess Hecate key necklace comes in 2 sizes, perfectly aligned with her will, so her devotees can find their way through the darkness. The handsome hand of God statues, believed to be protective talismans of luck, fertility, abundance, and good health, come in black or white. One of the best ways to bring your ancestors with you no matter where you go is our traveling ancestor altar on the go. They come in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large, perfect for all of your needs. They include candles, an oil, a toy for the little ones who passed on, and so much more to honor their beloved dead. And our Papa Legba key necklace are perfect for the devotees of the King of the Crossroads. Comes in 2 sizes, each one specifically prayed over and dedicated to Papa Legba himself. And appearing for the first time, Baron Sam D and Mama Grey J, Altar on the Go limited edition. Yes, you can take your altar to the cemetery with you. How cool is that? The traveling altar is complete with top hats, coffin nails, a cross from Mama Bridget, and so much more with room for you to add your own items. So show Barons MD and Mama Bridget the altar perfect for them. And don't forget, our barebone trio, See No Evil, Hear No Evil, Speak No Evil, Skeletons, have returned. There is so much more in our wicked store to help you to embrace the power of your own magic. So come on in to Moonlight Potions and Charms at www.moonlightpotionscharms.com and discover the wicked things that ignite the magical passion in you. Anybody can tell you what is on a tarot or oracle card. What matters is seeing beyond what others may not be able to see and help the client to uncover what lies in the mist. What do readings from Moonlight Potions and Charms do? Wednesday, I did this ancestor reading, and it was an amazing reading. And it was a detailed reading. And I remember talking to this customer's ancestors, and it was so delightful, and he wanted some questions to be answered about the magic in his family because he didn't know. And his family was mostly like most of our families are. You know how everything is like hush hush when it comes to the magic in his family. And he wanted to know, who can he actually talk to about the history of the magic in his family? And I was able to give him specifically who he can go to talk to about that. What particular deity he can actually go to be able to help him with this. And it was just an amazing reading, and talking to his ancestors. They were such a delight, and they told me so much about this customer. It was just an absolutely wonderful, wonderful reading for him. And I was just so happy to be able to give him this wonderful reading. It's really amazing to be able to give people these readings, these products that's really going to help them, and be able to give back to the community, because this is what Moonlight Potions and Charms is about. We want to help you to embrace the power of your own magic. That is what we are all about. It's to help you to do that. Book now and allow our wonderful staff to take care of your spiritual reading needs. And there is so much more in our wicked store to help you to embrace the power of your own magic. So come on in to Moonlight Potions and Charms at www.moonlightpotionscharms.com and discover the wicked things that ignite the magical passion in you.
And welcome back to Witch Hat Chats. It is Saul Ravencraft, Executive Occultist, here with Miss Nikki Kirby in the Season of the Dead, I guess we can say, which is not as spooky as it sounds. It's actually something that is quite comforting when you are able to change your perspective as the dead being something that's trying to chase you and eat you, which makes for a good horror movie, and more about those who have passed on and that connection. I sent you a cartoon that I had seen, which I don't have permission to share here visually, but it said that people on the other side set up altars for the living to help us along our path. And that is something that I have encountered as an idea, and something I do talk to people about, is that people on the other side, they look to us because they want to help us. But there's also a symbiosis that happens where they look at how we live our lives and they continue to learn from us. That they help us and we help them. For example, someone who has crossed over that is still dealing with bigotry and that kind of thing and trying to develop that kind of enlightenment, they watch us deal with these issues and how we deal with these issues. And they learn and they grow. And that is... that's a beautiful idea, that you may be continuing to help someone progress. So it's both-sided. Well, now I guess it's time for us to look at things more practically, though. So I think we both have some ideas of ways to connect with spirits we want to connect with people that we already have a connection with. How would you like to approach this to share with people, Nikki?
Well, the elders always go first.
Oh, did you see what she did there? I was all focused on her and she just handed it right back to me. Yeah. Well, that way she'll be able to come in and clean up, which is good. So one of the things that I share very regularly in both my performance situations and in my spirit session situations is the idea of calling people into your dreams. I love this technique for a number of reasons. One, you don't need special ritual or people or anything like that. It's something that you can do all by yourself. And secondly, it is a very intimate way of connecting with someone. And it helps to open up aspects of yourself that you can use for other techniques. So when you call someone into your dreams, first you want to be specific. You want to know who it is that you want to talk to. Again, don't just go, anyone who wants to be in my dreams, y'all come, right? Because that may not do what you want. So you want to be specific. You want to decide who you want to meet. You need to form a clear vision of this person. You may not want to use the vision of them at the end of life, because in many cases, when someone is at their end of life, there's weakness, there's pain, there are a lot of things going on, and we're not always at our best when we die. Right? So think of that point in their life where they did feel strong for you, where they did feel, when you think about them, that's always where you go back to. Because on the other side, we do choose our aspect. We do decide, and it morphs around. Sometimes we're in different modes there from what I've been given to understand. But often we have this point where we're at our own center, and that's the form that they will tend to choose. And you'll probably find that what you think of and what they think of are very similar. So picture them clearly, picture them thoroughly. And then decide a place that you want to meet them. Now, it can be a real place, or it can be an imaginary place, an ideal place. You may want to meet them at the favorite fishing spot where you used to hang out. You may want to meet at the perfect barbecue place that doesn't actually exist, but it can exist in our imagination. Or the perfect 5-star restaurant that you could never afford to go to. whatever feels like the right place to be with them. Picture that clearly. So you're going to picture them, picture being with them in this place. And now, decide the night that you want to do it. And lay off the alcohol and the caffeine. You can do it for one night, right? And lay off the screens, the little screens and the big screens. Maybe read a book or something. Just use the evening to prepare yourself for a restful night of sleep, and just kind of chill your way through it. Be natural about everything. And before you go to sleep, as you find yourself starting to drift, then call them, invite them to meet you. Maybe say something about why you want them to meet you. You can do it all in your mind, or you can do it out loud if you wish. If you feel like you want to write an invitation, or whatever makes the most sense to do this invitation, do that. And then during the night, as we are in that in-between time of sleep, you will meet and you will have that conversation. Now, you want to keep a notepad next to the bed because as you awaken, whatever is of that conversation in your head will fade as quickly as any dream would. And you want to capture it. You want to capture what you can. So you want to be ready for that. But even if when you wake up, you have no recollection of anything going on, don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. Just go on with your day. And at some point during the day, a thought will occur to you, an idea will occur to you about this person and something going on in your world right now, something they couldn't have possibly known about. And that will be from that conversation. And so you might keep that notepad with you so that you can note it and acknowledge it. And as you begin to connect with those things, maybe more will come. And this is something that gets easier with practice. So it's not maybe going to happen all at once, right? It may not be very vivid all at once, but if you do this regularly, you will find that it is very easy to have conversations with people who have crossed over in a way that is gentle and simple and easy to incorporate into your world. So that is what I call calling people into your dreams. It's my favorite thing to share with people, and anyone can do it. Especially if you're trying to contact people that you have a connection with. Might be harder to contact George Washington this way, but certainly good to contact relatives and ancestors and all of that. And as you connect with it more, what a wonderful way to make that connection and the vividness of that in-between space. Then they can show up like Yoda, right? Which is nice. Is this a technique that you've ever played with, Nikki?
Yes. Every now and then, once in a while.
Now, what do you normally do as an opening technique for making connections and recommending to people who are getting started in this?
All right. So let's say that you want to be able to talk to an ancestor. First of all, when it comes to ancestors, make sure you dedicate a candle to them. It can be any kind of candle. Usually, most of the time, it's either white or black, but most of the time it's white. This is a candle for Moonlight Potions and Charms. Make sure that they know that the candle is dedicated to them. And when you want to dedicate a candle to them and you want to talk to an ancestor, whether you know the ancestor's name or not, it doesn't really matter. Let's say that you don't know. Let's say that you don't know it's the ancestor that you want to talk to. and you want to open up a business, and you have absolutely no idea. So you want to write on a piece of paper, ancestor that had a business. Okay. That had a business. Okay. Had a successful business. Just successful business. Okay. Okay. You want to do that. You want to make sure that you light this candle. Make sure you light your candle here. Now, I'm not going to do this here because I don't have a place to burn this, but when you're on your altar, you want to find a place where you can sit here and burn this. All right. And make sure that it burns completely. And then you want to go into meditation. And you want to call forth the ancestor who you called for in this petition, and talk to this ancestor. All right. Now, this ancestor, it may be more than one ancestor that you might get, because there may be more than one ancestor that had a successful business in your line. Now, you didn't say particularly which line it was, whether it was your maternal line or your father's line. So if you want a particular line, you need to let them know. Okay. But usually that person will come and they will talk to you about this. Now, maybe a little bit before they come, but they usually will come and they will talk to you about this and about ask them, make sure that you ask them the questions that you want to ask them. They won't stay long. Now, they're not going to stay forever, and they're not going to be answering 1,000 questions either. But make sure you ask them the most important questions that you possibly can ask them. And make sure that you leave them an offering of at least water and thank them. Okay? And then that's the most simplest type of ritual you can actually get. There you go.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. And a couple of things that you said made me think of additions to the dream technique that you might do is while you're not watching television and playing on your phone, you might look into enjoying a beverage, a meal, music, something that helps bring them to life for you that night.
Right.
And, you know, just like you were talking about, and as we were talking about some of the other rituals, anything you can do to bring them closer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably true of just any technique you choose to use.
Right.
Well, I hope people do open up and do use this season as an opportunity to make a connection. Even a small one makes an amazing difference to you. And once you realize that it can happen, once you get over that skepticism that you may have, because our society is not really into this stuff, you may find that you're able to have some pretty remarkable opportunities.
So true. All right. So that is all for our show today. Man, Seems like our show just flies on by, doesn't it? All right. So join us next week when Saul and I will be chatting with Sean McKenzie. So, ladies, let people know that our rights are here and no one can give them or take them away from us because we are not property. And make sure you let the men know and understand this. So you want to vote these people out of office. So spell the vote, because I have done it and so has Saul. And that is the only way we can change the world. All right. So everyone, make sure you get your vaccinations and your boosters and support the people that are helping you and help each other. And keep your fuzzy babies, your family, and yourself safe, and have an absolute, magical, wonderful week.
I know some people who like to chat. I think they're witches, how about that? And every Sunday at 12 o'clock. And if you're hurting, they're willing to talk. Nikki, Kirby with that black stone. I agree, Evermoving We Rise. Life and soul with a beautiful mind. I give you blessings under moonlight. I know some people who like to chat. I think they're witches, how about that? And every Sunday at 12 o'clock. And if you're hurting, they're willing to talk.